Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of my wonderful and beautiful little lovelies out there. And how I love you all so, and I hope that you're all super duper well, super duper wonderful, and super duper delicious. And that life is treating you most deliciously. So, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? So, it's 4:32 p.m. on the 24th of August 2026, my delicious babies, and the sun is shining, weather is sweet, yeah. It is a little bit chilly, okay. So even though the sun's out, it is a little bit chilly. But in the sun, it's hot. So we're going through that stage. Earlier on, it was the wind. All of a sudden, this gust of wind just came out of nowhere, my delicious babies. Anyway, not to worry, not to worry. At least I got my washing dry. But that's the weather forecast. Okay, my delicious babies now then. So now Audi's gone up. Okay, so it looks like a saloon, the saloon. Right, I want to show you something, my delicious babies. So anyway, I've got a piano here. Okay, my delicious babies. Now this too came from, the dear elderly gentleman, okay, and he left it behind. Now I know for a fact, if I had said, "Oh, can I have this?" Anyway, it flipping weighs a ton. So I needed to get some help, my delicious babies. Anyway, we managed to get the beautiful little piano here. We managed to get her up now. So I've got a set of drawers that the dear gentleman's dear uncle, was born in, not in that way, was born in the 1800s, okay? And, he passed away, was it early 1900s, okay? But this one here is over 100-year-old. And I'm going to show you now, my delicious babies. Now, it does need, I haven't tested it all actually. Hang on, I'll show you my delicious babies. Okay, just one sec. What do I need to do? Turn it round. Okay. So if you can see this, my delicious babies, it says, hold on. You should be able to see it, and it says B squirrel. No, sorry. Do forgive me. B squire. Okay. Estimated 1829. Okay, my delicious babies, and these are the keys. So it does need, some tender loving care. Do you know what I mean? But I haven't tested them. They seem to be fine. Yeah, it seems to be all right, my delicious babies. Now then, let's just close her up. So I've just got to sort her out shortly. Okay, my delicious babies. Now then, so yeah, so this beautiful piece here, piano, my delicious babies, is estimated at 1829. Okay, so as you can see from what I have been showing you, my delicious babies, I've got everything from, well over 50-year-old. Do you understand what I mean? Okay, from our beautiful dear little family upstairs to over 100 years old, and like this now then. I just seem to, there we are, to like that sort of thing better, my delicious babies, pieces of furniture and everything. But she does need a good clean, and to get her up the road was a mission, my delicious babies, but it wasn't mission impossible. Okay, my delicious babies, but we got there in the end. But because when I was younger, my delicious babies, I've never said this before, but when I was younger, because, well, anyway, I've mentioned about the electric guitar that I was bought and the amplifier, but I never mentioned my younger sister. She had, so she wanted a keyboard basically, like an electric keyboard. So I used to do more on it than what she did. Do you see what I'm saying? So, and I could actually play some tunes, my delicious babies. Do you see what I mean? But I always looked at pianos, and I always have had a, shall we say, a fascination with beautiful pianos. I just have, and just the sound that comes from a piano is just so beautiful. It's like if I was, it could be anybody who's excellent at playing the piano. I would stop and listen because it's just so. How can I explain it? It's just so moving. It's really hard to explain. But if there's a real beautiful piece of music, it can bring tears to your eyes, but in a nice way. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not tears of sadness. It's tears of what one is listening to. Sorry, Mads, the Schlick Babies never needed to stumble there, but I thought, right, I'm going to have a go, and I'm going to try to. I'm not the best at reading music, Mads, the Schlick Babies, so I feel because YouTube, because it is such a world of information, Mads babies. I'm not joking. I've got everything from recipes to you could do sewing, just anything, Mads babies. So we do thank YouTube for that. Okay, we do not thank YouTube for shadow banning rather a lot. Okay, Mads babies, and we do not thank them for banging ones off when they do not deserve it. But I do feel with YouTube that it is wonderful for anything like this. You see what I mean? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to look at some videos, okay? Because that's the best way. And if I watch somebody do it, this is how my model works. I look at things visually. So I'm seeing because I'm blessed to see, and I'm hearing. Do you see? So there we are. So therefore, I'm paying attention to what I'm being shown. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. Okay. So me, and I haven't named her yet. I haven't named any of them, but I will be naming them. Okay, Mads, babies, and I'm just going to see how I get on. But underneath, she looks fine. She, I'm not an expert on, you know, the inside of a piano, Mardelishlik babies, no, but this is a very old one. And then, of course, if you look at others, like in a great big hall or something, then you have those other ones where they, them ones like in a funny shape, and then they look all posh, and then they've got the lid that goes, one of those. Well, this little baby here, she's not one of those. She's a very, very old. She reminds me, actually, when I look at her, she reminds me of something that you probably have in a church, like that. Oh, hang on. Try again. See how they run. See how they run. Do you know that tune, Mad Delicious Babies? Yes. Three blind mice. That's the song now, Delicious Babies, anyway. But it's just really good. I mean, I've got to have a play around with her. She also needs a really good clean, but I've got to be gentle, because I don't want to, you know what I mean. One of her legs, because she runs on what are they called, casters, but one of the casters had it. That's what the problem was, getting it up the road, and she does weigh a ton. Okay, mad delicious babies, but it's so beautiful because I got my beautiful dear neighbours and friends. Okay, so there was one dear man we did. That doesn't mean no. There's one dear man who I never knew, but somebody else did. Bless them. And I just said, would you please be able to come and help us? And there he was. He was riding his bike, so he'd obviously finished work and that, you know what I mean. And he was going on a bike ride, and he said, I was wondering when you was going to ask. I mean, look at that, man, to the baby. So he said to myself, he said, right. He says, could you hold my bike, please? Could you push my bike? And he said, no, I'll help the other, the other two lovely dear, not in that way, lovely dear, friends and neighbours. But wasn't that beautiful, So all everybody could hear going up the road was my little piano. Okay, my delicious babies. But I just love pianos. So I will be having a little play around with her. Do you understand what I mean? I know what you're all thinking at this point. Well, I do not know, but I wouldn't be surprised if these are your thoughts, my delicious babies. You're probably saying to yourself, do you remember that series in, decades ago called Steptoe and Son? You know, where they just keep gathering everything. You know what I mean? You're probably thinking is she turning into one of those. No, I'm not mad, Lishlik babies. I only take, please remember what I'm saying now, yes? What is coming out my trap. I only take, there we are, what I need, and I haven't stolen anything, okay? And because the new owners, they haven't moved into the house, there's been a lot of work that's been done to this house. So the dear elderly gentleman who's moved out is now moved into a bungalow, okay? He just said, oh, he said, you know, you wanted the, you know, he came out because I lifted up the lid and I just, you know, every time I walk past, ding, ding, do you know what I mean? Mad little babies. And he said, oh, you know, do you want it? He says, well, how are we going to get it there? Yeah. And I said, no. I said, I'll find a way. Do you know what I mean? Mad little babies, you know, somebody to help me, you know? But yeah, I'm so glad that I've got her. But no, I do not have the habit of going into any other skip or doing anything like that, okay? I know exactly where these beautiful pieces have came from. I'm very happy to have them in my home. And the dear lady, because it was a dear gentleman's dear little wife, because they travelled all over the world. They never ever had any little bends, okay? But what they did do is travel all over the world. The dear husband had his job, and as for his dear little wife, she was a music teacher. So I just thought that it would be as well more respectful to have you know, her beautiful little piano. There we are in my home. Okay, my delicious babies. So that is what I have to say about that. Now then, my delicious babies. So I have two pieces of information for you, and then I'm going to be over and out. So, right, one is just over 9 minutes long. I've never seen this uploaded before, never came up on my feed. It's a case of looking and scrolling at other videos to see what I can see, to fish out what I can fish out, to do it as a hobby, as all my little lovelies know, okay? And I enjoy my little hobby, okay? And sometimes I can get more time than other times to, you know, to have a fish through. Okay, my delicious babies. So this uploader is called capital M Michael space capital B Bordenero. Hold on, babe. Hold on one sec. I'm sorry about that, my delicious babies. It's my beautiful little maize. I've had the same with Auntie Carla's little Chinny from up the road. Okay, she's also tried to jump up, you know, before I even started the video. Okay, I just need to get my video done, and hopefully I'll get it done flipping quicker than I usually do, my delicious babies. Okay, not that I do not enjoy giving out information or talking to you. It's just it's really nice just to every now and again to do a quicker video. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to spell this for you, my delicious babies. Bordenaro. So what's it? So I do apologise to the uploader, and like I said, not in that way. Bordenaro. Is it Bordenaro? And then space capital C clips. So you should read all spaces. Michael Bordenaro clips. Okay, my delicious babies, the uploader is now at 34.9 thousand subscribers, and the video should read, oh yes, this is an American born in the USA, Procter and Gamble. Now I'm pretty sure, my delicious little babies, for most of you, flipping merch just sped up the road. For most of you, my delicious babies, you would have heard of Procter and Gamble. Now I have my delicious babies, you know what I mean? What do they have in Hull? Is it Reckitt's? Reckitt's. Okay, my delicious babies. It's a strange word, isn't it? Reckitt's. It's like something's been wrecked. Okay, my delicious little babies. It's like Procter and Gamble, like somebody's gambling on something. Right, new warning. People have stopped buying soap and alcohol. Ooh. Ooh. Let's read it again. My delicious babies. Procter and Gamble, new warning, people have stopped buying soap and alcohol. Mm. Okay, marginalistic babies. So this one's ticked off. So what is he talking about? What he's saying is that ones are having to. In other words, this is just my sayings, not your man there, the uploaders. Well, basically, ones are just not buying maybe what they used to buy before. And and he mentions about 2008, the point of the matter is, Martin babies. What he also talks about is where you used to have like smaller companies, which I've talked about whatever o'clock, long time for years and decades actually, where you see little businesses, and what ends up happening, Martin babies, is they then sell the business, okay? Whereas when they first started, everything went into it to the heart, everything went into their business, okay? They cared about their customers, they cared about who, liked their products, of what they were selling. I'm pretty sure they would have been happy to receive feedback. It's just like when I bake a cake. It could be any cake at all. My delicious babies, but I like to get feedback. So that even though I follow the ingredients, I will not always say to a T. I've said this before. I put in less sugar, and if I feel it needs more vanilla extract, I'll put in more than that. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not going to say that every single time I go completely by the list of ingredients and the measurements, because I do not. Mind you, I've got a pretty good set of scales actually. Waitrose are selling them, like a bit of the. I needed some scales because you can't get the old-fashioned ones, well, unless I suppose you go to an antiques shop dealer. But these are new, just little digitals, Anyway, John Lewis. How much did it cost me? Was it 11 squids? 11 squids. So Waitrose is selling some of the John Lewis stuff. Yeah, John Lewis, there's not a lot of them anymore either. I was talking to somebody the other day where, they were closing down. There's one in Solihull. I don't know about anywhere else. But, anyway, I was just talking about it. Anyway, let me go back to the matter in hand. So the point is that once these larger businesses, okay, and getting the feedback, there we are, is important. Now, this is not what your man here is talking about. This is what I'm talking about. So if products change in some way, then I would have thought it's ding, ding, dong, dong, common sense that one start to notice. And actually, to be fair, there's plenty. If I could talk to somebody, they would turn around and say, well, actually, I talk to plenty, but, not in that way, not in that way. I have a good natter. But I could talk to many where they say, oh, it's not made the same way anymore, Carla. It's not, it doesn't taste the same, or something's not made the same. Do you see what I mean? Okay, you could say that about cars, and all different things, delicious babies, you see what I mean? So, but they're not caring, because caring is sharing, isn't it? And sharing is caring. But these larger, colossal businesses that take over really couldn't give figures F. And let's face it, I mean, we're just being poisoned constantly with everything we do. It's poisonous. But, there isn't enough of us. Only at this time, I'm never going to say never, there isn't enough of us at this particular time, my delicious babies, where we can all just get our little noddles together and we can turn around and say, right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to learn to make soap. We're going to learn to do all of the things, shampoo. And, shampoo used to be all natural of the way it was. Everything used to be natural until the larger, colossal businesses, there we are, came into it. And that's just a fact, my delicious babies, okay? So if ones want to disagree, well, we're not always supposed to agree, are we? I'm a woman with a view. I shall have my effing view, and that's my view. But anyway, I was just giving you what your man's basically saying. He's saying something slightly different to myself. But anyway, the point is, it's all the same. Okay, it's just different words, just different wording, but you'll get where he's coming from, as I'm sure that you've completely got where I'm coming from. You know what I mean, my delicious babies? And I notice that many things have changed. Many things have changed. Okay. I mean, I've even been seeing, I never clicked on a mad delicious baby, so I've just got to quickly tell you about this. Well, you know, honey. Honey is one of the most natural. I mean, they even hijacked that, didn't they? Whatever o'clock years ago. They hijacked it like they do everything. You know, so they're not selling, it's not honey, it's basically sugar for a lot. You got to know, there we are, what you're buying. You do have to know what you're buying. But at the same time, trying to avoid the most expensive. You know, unless you go to like a honey farm or something like this now, then, okay, or you can roughly taste and you know what you're tasting, okay. Unless you do that, well, you're just having, you know, it's just runny sugar basically, just with the colouring. Do you know what I mean? For it to look like honey. Well, you've been listening to some videos, my delicious babies, and have been saying that honey is bad for you. Oh, so now honey's bad. So this is what I'm saying, my delicious babies. You know, if you was to listen to everything or every single video, and there's millions out there, millions, my delicious babies, yes, where they'll tell you that everything's bad for you. Everything's bad for you. Flip me. You'd want to go, you know, not meaning this in a nasty way, I'm just, you know, meaning it in such a way. Well, you'd want to go to the nearest park, wouldn't you, my delicious babies? You know what I mean? So we have to eat and we have to drink. But getting back to this, right at this point, unless a very large number of us were to get together and say, right, we're going to start to do our own soap, we're going to start to do our own shampoo, we're going to start to do our own shower gels. Do you see what I'm saying, my delicious babies? Okay, so until that happens, but like I say, I never say never. Because for myself, my delicious babies, I always have a positive mental attitude at all times, which is what we've all got to have, my delicious babies. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes, okay. But that's that anyway. So it sounds like I've gone round the raking, round the houses, round Marbury Bush, but I really haven't. I'm just explaining, you know, what I'm explaining. My thoughts. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now, the final video is 33.3 thousand subscribers, and the uploader is called capital E Elegance, then a space, capital E Echo or Echo, you know, because they're two way. So it's Elegant Space Echo. That's the uploader, my delicious babies, two E's. And the video should read, and this is, I think, just over 27 minutes long. Okay, my delicious babies, the Yves Saint Laurent Muse found, we don't like this word because we seem to hear rather a lot of it, don't we, my delicious babies, you know, especially in recent years, very sadly. Found dead in the Seine or Seine, Seine. And this was a dear model called Katoucha. Her name is spelled with a K. Okay, my delicious little baby's Katoucha. Now, of course, Yves Saint Laurent, he, you know, really got along with Katoucha. But when was it now? Was it 31st? I don't know, unless I was listening wrong. I hope I was not, so please do not quote me, my delicious babies, but I'm pretty sure 31st of the 1st, 2008. Well, if you added up, my delicious little babies, okay, so you got 8 and 2, so you miss out the zeros, okay, so that comes to 10, plus the first, that'll be 11, okay, plus 31st, so you would add those up. Well, this is the way I do it, okay, so that's 11, 12, then it's 13, 14, 15, what does that come to, my delicious little babies? 6 years. And of course, poor Katoucha was 47, so 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. What does that come to, my delicious babies? 11 years. And then she was found on, was it the 28th of February? So, okay, so let's see what number that is. Sorry, because I never added that up. Right, so that's 10. Right, 10, 20, 22, that comes to 4. So 4, well, yeah. Okay. But like I said, we don't hear about the falls very often, do we, Mad? Delicious babies, no. No. Okay. But this is what I'm saying. So it was a month after. Now she was living on what they call a houseboat, which I mean, you got narrowboats, you got different boats, So Katoucha was living on a narrowboat. Now, what they're talking about in this, Mads, what they're talking about, the one who's speaking about Katoucha's life in a very short space of time. Now, delicious babies, not in that way, not in that way. But she's just explaining it just very quickly, okay? And the fact of the matter is, it was around the time where, was it Katoucha, bless her, she was coming out with, like this female, what do they call it? Female, this mutilation. You know about it, Martinistic babies. Well, I've known about it, whatever o'clock there we are, for decades. But I'm pretty sure that you would have heard of it as well. It's a female, is it genital mutilation? So we know what that involves. Okay, Martinistic babies, it's really not very nice at all for a young little lass to go through. Okay, but the family that she was born into, her father was. So I'm not saying this to any of our little lovelies out there who already know about dear Katoucha. I'm talking to our little lovelies who do not know. I'm making it very quick anyway. The point is, my delicious babies, is this. Is her father was to do with politics or something. Anyway, well, as soon as she could, she wanted to get away from her mammy, from her daddy, from her, you know what I mean? She wanted to branch out, bless her, herself. Okay. She did go through her troubles, bless her. Okay. Now they're putting it down to saying that she'd, because one of her friends helped her in a taxi. That was the last time anybody's seen Katoucha, bless her. Well, I hope she's resting in peace, as I hope and wish that all of our little lovelies in the world are resting in peace, apart from the little effers who push things, you know what I mean? Mads, little babies, yes. Or any doctors and nurses, who over the decades have, helped to cull. Okay, Mads, little babies, so no, I'm not wanting them to rest in peace, no. Okay, Mads, little babies, but yeah, very sad laugh, but the night before that, what they're reckoning is that it was natural. But what was it? This is a question, isn't it? But there are other things anyway in this video. My delicious little babies, that said, okay, my delicious little babies, and that's all my videos. But yeah, bless little Katoucha, bless her. But we've heard of many, well, let's just say over the decades, you mix in certain circles now then, and, sometimes other things can happen, can't it, my delicious little babies? We've heard it for decades, haven't we? Very sadly, but I wouldn't have thought that was by no means a very nice way to pass at all, my delicious little babies. I can only just say the poor dear woman. Okay. But, she did have very much up and down laugh, but she happened to be talking about all to do with this mutilation, Martelish babies. She was talking about other things, Martelish babies, and then very sadly, this is what happened. Very sadly. Okay, Martelish babies. So whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, please have a super duper delicious time. You only get one life, my little honey bunnies. Sending peace, love, harmony, and bright blessings to each and every one of you. May your beautiful little selves and your beautiful little families, may you all be fully protected, and how I love you so. You're super duper wonderful, super duper delish, and I'll love you. Okay, my delicious little babies. I know it seems like I'm talking a load of gobbledygook, and that maybe I'm just talking about all videos that most are just brush under the carpet. You know what I mean? My delicious little babies, but no, it's not just about brushing under the carpet. You know what I mean? My delicious little babies, because I do not operate like that. Okay, my delicious little babies, delicious little babies. Okay, so that's all the videos. So, you just take care of yourselves now. Then need to go backwards, my delicious little babies. You know what I mean? And please try to take care of others because we are in a bonkers, crackers, and crazy world. So, from myself, from my lovely over 100-year-old chest of drawers, and from now in my possession, my lovely little old piano, and from my beautiful little babies, little Maisie, little Rubes, and Auntie Carla's little Jim from up the road. May I tell you all how much I love you all, and thank you so very much for any views, for any likes, for the occasional comments, okay? And you just, like I just said, please take care now, look after. Till my next video, from all of us, goodbye.